Well, the countdown to summer is on, and with South Carolina's heat right around the corner, officials are issuing a warning to parents. Leaving a child in a hot car is not just dangerous, it can be deadly. The South Carolina Department of Public Safety says more than 950 children have died from heat stroke nationwide over the past 25 years after being left or trapped in hot cars. So this morning we are on your side speaking with Richland County Coroner Naida Rutherford about how to prevent these type of tragedies. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for covering this. It's so important.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start by having a conversation about how quickly the car can heat up during summer months.
So let me just give you this information, and you do with it what you will. On an 80-degree day, the car temperature, the internal car temperature, can rise to 109 degrees within 20 minutes. And so the higher the outside temperature, the faster the internal temperature will rise. And so if you think about the fact that we have lots of days that are over 100 degrees, this can happen within minutes.
Okay, so that is so important to know, because I think that's the issue, is a lot of people don't realize how quickly it can get so hot. Now, speaking of it being hot, there's a difference between heat stroke and heat exhaustion. You are our nurse practitioner here. Let's break it down so that way parents and families can know the signs.
So heat exhaustion is when your body is telling you, it's the warning sign before a heat stroke happens. So heat exhaustion, you're going to see cool, clammy skin. This person may be sweating because their body is trying to cool down. They may feel faint or dizzy. They'll have a weak, kind of thready pulse if you're checking their pulse and know what to look for. And so this person is going to be having muscle cramps. They're going to tell you, I'm not feeling well. But if it's a child who's not speaking yet, they may not be able to say that. But you may see cramping, you may see them throwing up, and you may see them just looking like they're unsteady on their feet if they're walking. Now, if you're an adult, you're going to, if you advance to the point where your internal temperature is rising above that 103, 104, then all of a sudden you're going to have very strong headache. Your skin, instead of being cool and clammy, is going to be red, hot, dry. You may even lose consciousness. And if you get to the point where you lose consciousness, someone needs to try to cool you down as fast as possible, because death is imminent.
Oh my goodness. So it's so important to know those warning signs and symptoms. Now, one of the things that we were talking about earlier is in South Carolina, it gets real hot real quick, and you might be at the grocery store, you might be shopping, and you might see a child in a car. What do you do? How should you handle that?
So if you look around and you don't see an adult or someone who exited that vehicle, you can try to stay there for a few minutes to see if they come back, just so that someone is watching the child, because it's not just about leaving the child in the car. What if the child isn't strapped down in the seat? What if it's a push start? There's a light on it. If I'm a child, I'm probably going to press that button, and so they may accidentally turn the car off. Even your pets being in the car, they could accidentally turn the car off. So if you see a child there, you can try to wait. You can try to see if there's an adult, but I always tell people, call 911, because even if the child does not seem to be in distress, they can quickly get there, again, with the temperatures rising so fast here in South Carolina.
Absolutely, my friends. So call law enforcement. It really is better to be safe than sorry.
Yes.
Now, something else that we were talking about, it's not always that parents or family members leave children in a hot car. Sometimes it's the kids have wandered into the car themselves.
Yes. So if you have someone watching your child, talk to them about alert systems on their doors, because we had a case here in South Carolina. We've actually had several cases where children have wandered outside during the summertime, or the front door was left open. Maybe you're taking groceries out of the car or the trunk. The child has crawled into the trunk, and they've been left in the car unintentionally, and they're doing a whole missing person search, and the child is in the hot car the entire time. So if you have a teenager or someone else in care of your child, or you as a parent are in care of that child, make sure your doors have alarms on them. Make sure that you're checking the car. If you've taken everything out, just do a quick once over. Let me make sure there's nothing or like a pet or a child in the car, and make sure that you lock the vehicle when you go inside, because we had another case where there was an unlocked vehicle in a yard. The child wandered from the porch. There were people on the porch. No one saw this child wander off the porch, and all of a sudden they're looking for the child. They're looking the whole neighborhood, and the child had died in the car, unfortunately. So it can happen so quickly, and sometimes it happens when lots of people are around. You just have to be diligent about making sure that you're keeping track of little ones, having those alarms on doors, but also doing your due diligence to check.
Absolutely. Diligence is the key here. And then my final question for you this morning is going to be, what is your message to our community as we approach these summer months, this South Carolina heat?
Number one, look back. If you are the person who takes the children to school, or maybe you're not the person who normally takes them, we get into a routine. Sometimes I'm driving out or even realize that I've ended up at work. And so if we can be that distracted or that lost in our own selves, we could accidentally leave a child in the car. So take a second to look back in the back seat, make sure that you haven't left your child or your pet in the car. Also, if you know that you have the propensity to be a little distracted, set an alarm on your phone to check the car to make sure. This is a very easy thing you can do. It can run every single day during the summer if you need it to, but just remember that if you're not checking, you could potentially become a victim of this, and your child could die or your pet could die. And I always say child and pet because we know we have lots of fur parents out there, and so I think that's really important. The children and pets should be kept safe, and you should never leave them in the car unattended, even if it's just for a few moments.
Even if it's just for a few moments. And so, y'all, when I think about these very practical tips, which I'm so grateful that you gave those, might be like, oh, I don't feel like setting an alarm, whatever. Just taking those few couple of seconds to do these small tips could literally save a life. So, Coroner Rutherford, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, all of that helpful information. Again, my friends, please, please, please be careful during these summer months. Keep an eye on your loved ones, on your pets, elderly, all of that, because we know this South Carolina heat is nothing to play with. We're going to put this interview on our website, WLTX.com, so you can check it out. Maybe send it to a loved one, a family member. Just say, hey, a gentle reminder, we got to be careful this summer with all the kids and pets in the cars.